Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Our Old Farmhouse. In today's video, I want to talk about a video that I posted at the end of last week, which was on the topic of rising egg cost here in Michigan. And really after I posted that video, I had quite a few people reach out to me with some additional questions and really asking what my predictions were for 2025 and how it related to homesteading. So in today's video, I want to talk about why homesteading is key to 2025 and beyond. And really, again, what my predictions are as we move into 2025 and into 2026 next year. That said, you guys can see I'm indoors again here. I'm recording this in the evening. There's not really a lot going on here at my homestead, so not a lot of footage that I can get outdoors. Unfortunately, we did have some setbacks here in 2024, which made it kind of a challenge as we started the new year. But we have a lot on the horizon for 2025, and this is our fifth or I think sixth year that we are homesteading here on our property. So really, I think this is going to be an exciting year where we're going to get a lot done. But that said, let's go ahead and dive into today's video. So as I shared in my prior video, the state of Michigan passed a bill back in 2019 that required all egg-laying hens to be cage-free by January 1st of 2025. And really, that was kind of a synopsis of what that bill looked like for the average person, or at least based on what they understood of that legislation. But that law also included new limitations on raising pork and raising veal. So really, I don't know a lot of people that eat veal, but pork is a big product. Eggs are a big product. And with that legislation here in Michigan, and there are other states that have implemented similar legislation, it is driving up cost. And after I posted that video, like I said in the introduction there, that I had a lot of people reaching out asking me what were my predictions for 2025. And sadly, I don't think that we're going to see prices drop. I think we're going to see prices continually and steadily increase over the next 12 months. So that said, I do think that come spring, we are going to see more people considering homesteading. I think every year we get more people that kind of get on the bandwagon and kind of join in on the group. But I think that we're going to have a lot of people really considering homesteading in 2025, unless something major happens leading up to spring or summer. But I think 2026 is going to be the year that we see a lot of people really frustrated with the increases in costs, inflation, and really cost of living. And they are going to transition in groves, kind of like we've seen back in 2019, 2020, as the COVID pandemic took effect. That said, the Federal Reserve set its prediction for 2025, its inflation rate at 1.9%, and that was kind of a downgrade from their original prediction of a 3.2% continuation of inflation into 2025. And I kind of think that's a garbage prediction. I think we're going to continue to see prices going up. I don't think that we're going to see them going up as quickly as they were a year or two ago, but I think we're going to see prices going up. And I really think that that really warrants people to consider, is homesteading a viable option? And when I have this conversation with people, they get really scared by the term homesteading. And when they hear that, they think that they have to go out and they have to have a farm. They have to raise chickens, calves, bees, grow all their own food in a garden, and they got to have acres and acres and acres of land to be able to be completely self-sufficient. And while complete self-sufficiency is ideal for most homesteaders, it's not the answer for everyone, and really not even most. Homesteading is not a real definition anymore. It's more of a lifestyle, and it's a lifestyle towards building on self-sufficiency. So when I kind of explain this to people, I kind of go back to a reference that I picked up a couple of years ago at a farmer's market when I was speaking to kind of a long-term seller at a local farmer's market that I like to frequent on the weekends here in Michigan. And as I was speaking, there was a little old lady that was kind of sitting there. I would say she was probably in her 80s. And what she had done was she considered herself a homesteader. She would go to the farmer's market and she found a vendor who was selling fresh fruits and vegetables, and she would purchase what she could. She'd take it back to the condo that she rented, and she would produce baked goods. She'd bake it all from scratch. She would give it back to the true homesteader, the kind of that cheap definition that everyone thinks of, the person that owns all the land and the animals and produces all their own food. She'd give it back to him. He would sell it there at the farmer's market because she couldn't make it because of her age and her health. And every month she was generating about $600 of extra money that helped towards her self-sufficiency. She lived off a very fixed income, so having that extra money helped out tremendously. Now, yes, she was making pretty decent money at the farmer's market, but that said, that's not going to be the same for everyone. Her self-sufficiency looked different than what mine looks like, which could look different from yours. In her situation, she had no property, she had no land, she rented a condo. I don't know how large it was, but I know that she had no area to go out and grow any of her own food. And really, she built partnerships with other homesteaders. And I think that that is key. I think that as we look into 2025, I think networking is going to be more important than ever before. So I'm going to pause the video there. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. This is a great opportunity to share thoughts, inputs. Comment section is always open. Please leave questions, comments, or topics that you want to hear about, because again, this is the format. This is the exchange of information that is critical to homesteading. Kind of picking back up now on the video, there used to be a big drive in homesteading books. If you went to the library, there was sometimes a complete section of every topic that you could think of related to homesteading. And it might not be under the definition of homesteading, but there were quite a few areas or books, resources, magazines, newspaper clippings on homesteading. And that really is not happening anymore because YouTube and other video exchange, TikToks, Instagram, there are so many ways and so many places for people to share digital information like this that we have to keep this alive. So again, why is homesteading key in 2025? Well, I think inflation is going to continue to rise. I think we're going to probably see over the course of the next 12 months or 11 remaining months, I think we're going to see inflation reach an additional 6 to 6.9%. I think that that's pretty optimistic. I don't think a lot of factors were taken into consideration by the feds when they looked at overall inflation. And when I'm talking about inflation, I should clarify this. I'm not talking about inflation on vehicles, computers, electronics. I'm talking about inflation on everyday products such as food. I think that food is probably the biggest expense that has the most fluctuation. Every month, I know how much my car payment is going to be. I know how much my house payment is going to be. Insurance is going to be. But food, it is a wild card when you go to the grocery store, especially when you have children or a large family. And for me, going to the grocery store, I may spend $120 one week, and the next week I might go back and spend $310. So there's a lot of fluctuation in that. And I think that that really is what concerns a lot of consumers. So again, as we're moving into 2025, and if we continue to see inflation going up, I think that's going to get a lot of people at that tipping point where this isn't sustainable anymore, especially for a lot of younger people. When we talk about the amount of money that we spend on produce, meat, and I think that we're seeing a trend over the last probably 10 years, and it's kind of picked up pace, but people want to eat healthier. They want to eat fresh foods. We're seeing people that are comparing our food to other nations and showing that a lot of the products that we sell here, and I call them products because they're not really the most healthy or really even considered food in some other countries, but these prepackaged products that are being sold as food aren't really the best for us. And we're seeing a decline in health. We're seeing an increase in health issues. We're seeing an increase in anxiety, depression. We're seeing all these issues that are being caused. And I think a lot of them come from the food that we eat. So again, homesteading doesn't have to be where you go out and you purchase 25 acres of land and you get to work growing your own food. And it's not something where even if you could do that and say you went out and you purchased 25 acres It's not where you're going to start growing all your own food within a year or two. It takes time. And like I said, I've been here in our homestead for 5 years. And in the summer, I can grow almost all of my own produce. Uh, but really, we consume everything that we're eating as the summer goes on. So in the wintertime, I'm back at the grocery store quite a bit. So again, it is never perfect, but the networking has to be there. We have to have this exchange of information, this exchange of ideas. I'm constantly online and I constantly see new and improved ideas and things that I say, you know what, this spring, I'm going to be doing that on my property. And I might not be able to get to every single one of them, but I do get to quite a few of them. Really, you have to have a plan, and I think planning is important. So with that said, I know that there were a lot of comments on my last video, or a lot of questions that were sent to me about the war in Ukraine, and really what I thought was going to happen with that with regards to food prices. And I'm going to be really clear on this. I'm not an expert in that area, but based off from my experience, even if the war ended in February of 2025, with Ukraine and that region growing most of the wheat that the world consumes, and that really going towards meat production in the form of cattle feed and chicken feed, and with that going into breads and everything else, I don't think that that area is going to recover for at least another year or two after the war ends. And that's being very liberal in that prediction. It could be several years, like 4 or 5, 7 to 10 years even. If you imagine that farmland's got to be reevaluated, retilled, they got to get agricultural equipment in. And I don't think that that's something on the forethought right now with the conflict that's going on for obvious reasons. So even if the war ended in February, I don't think we're going to see grain prices drop. And grain is a key agricultural item that is necessary to drop prices. So grain, dairy, and eggs are three commodities that really set the tone on what food prices are going to be. And unfortunately, on top of that, we're seeing a lot of larger industries, in my opinion, that are doing a lot of price gouging under the idea that it is kind of coaxed with inflation. And I don't think that's the case. We saw over the course of like the last 4 or 5 years about a 30% increase in a lot of goods and services. And yet with food, it's 40, 50, 60% higher than ever before. Eggs was an example. There were legislation that really played a factor in that here in the state of Michigan. But like I seen someone posted just today, a box of cereal that was $9.89 at a supermarket. And this was a large chain supermarket. It wasn't like a mom and pop store. This was a large chain, and it was a box of regular cereal that 5 years ago you would have seen for $2.50, and it's almost $10. I think that is on the extreme. It wasn't in a major city or a major state like California or New York. This was just in everyday America. So I think that is a scary idea, and I think that even for those of us who are homesteading, I think that 2025 needs to be the year that, if you haven't already, we really need to nail this down, and we need to invest in our property more. If it's not even money, but time, energy, and resources that we have. And that's going to probably cost some money, unfortunately. But growing more of your own food and really bartering with people, I think that's something that is a trend that really needs to come back. Especially when it comes to skills. I have skills that are different than your skills, and if we can exchange those skills with an exclusion of money, just doing it on good faith towards one another. Hey, I help you out, you help me out. I think that is the type of society that we really need to get back to. So that said, I'm going to end today's video. But before I do that, I just want to say, please continue to subscribe and leave comments. If there are topics that you want to hear about, I'd love to talk about them. If I don't know about them, I'm not going to make a video on it. But I do have a couple of videos like this that are planned to come out over the course of winter, just to kind of see how viewers take it. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Like I said, please comment, send me messages, whatever's easiest. And I will have in the spring a lot more videos outdoors This 2024 year was kind of a challenge for me. I started a new job, traveling a lot more, and we just had a lot of things going on here at home, so it made it very difficult to record a lot of that. And then the weather this last year was really strange, so that made it a challenge too. But 2025 is going to be our year. I can feel it, and I hope it is for you guys. So please, again, leave comments, subscribe, and I'd like to set up a viewer-sponsored video where we can share with other homesteaders. I'd love to hear what you guys think. So if you are a YouTuber that is in homesteading, please let me know, and I'd love to set up a virtual exchange of information, and we can make a video on that and partner with that. So again, that is today's video. Thank you guys for watching.